social construction is something arbitrary that is made up by mankind so that it can be uh, in accordance with society so that we can just accept and believe on. So obviously, it's something that's not intrinsically true, and it's something that we have to get used to by growing up and immersing ourselves around it. For me, it's through experience at least. When I was a young boy, let's say in preschool, I see no difference with other kids, between other kids and me, until one day my teacher pointed out that my class best friend at the time was taller than me. That was the day I let the social constructed meaning of being taller inferiorize me. So imagine feeling bad about yourself being shorter because, according to human beings, it's seen as undesired because of its bad stigma. You don't look tougher, you don't look masculine, you can't attract women, and all sorts that comes with being shorter. But also imagine being hated based on your skin color because, according to humans, no one divine, objectively divine, but human beings say that your skin color has inferior meaning to it. Okay, so back to social constructions, right? There are a lot of accepted and appropriate social constructions that we can agree on. For example, black and white being the opposites, as red and blue, money or currency, law, murder being wrong. We can talk about moral philosophy another day if we want to. Countries, it's made of borders, ethnicity, race, beauty standards, maybe for our preferences in dating. Now, I mentioned race being one of these social constructions made up by us, right? So once it was agreed that um, race is biological and scientific, which means that it's okay, it's justified to separate races and say that, oh, we're different, us white people, we're different than from the blacks, but yes, physical traits exist. However, that's due to evolution. But still, as human beings, we are 99 point something percent related, and therefore we are not so different from others. But nowadays, race is accepted, even though it's a social construction. It's okay to use race, and also to discuss about it. But there are times that race can be extremely ambiguous, vague, and here's a quick story I'd like to share. So I am Latino, right? And growing up, I did go to a predominantly white school, about 80% white, right? And because of that, I was like, hell no, I do not want to stick out being different from my classmates. So what I would do is, try to consider myself white, try to act white, all sorts, and unhispanicize myself, if that's a word. And those are two terrible things a child should never go through. However, in late elementary to early middle school, when more people started opening up their backgrounds, that kind of inspired me to represent my Hispanic side. So I will now consider myself brown. Yeah, you heard that right. I started to consider myself brown because there's this kind of a stigma, a belief that, Latinos are supposed to be brown because majority are brown, like actual brown, and so I should be brown, right? And I think it's cooler. I thought that makes more sense. It fits to my identity, and so I started using brown emojis. My Snapchat Bitmoji was brown at the time. I would do some brown jokes, all sorts, and make fun of white people. Now, 8+ years later, of course, I'm much more educated, I guess. Latino is not a race; it's an ethnicity, actually. So you could be any skin color, but you're in Latino if you have descendants from Latin America or if you're from Latin America. So that's very interesting. I went from wanting to be white to start trying to act brown, I guess, and now I'm just here, and I actually consider myself racially ambiguous. Um, However, I mean, I might lean towards more white because my family looks white, my parents look white. But here's the case: race is so useless in the Latino community because, still, regardless of race, my family hardly ever talk about race. Hardly. So there that comes. Race is extremely useless in the Latino community. So that now we can see that race can be very vague and prone to confusion. Let's talk about the country where I'm from, the United States, right? I was born and raised there, okay? And all right off the bat, the United States clearly has a racial division history from the start. However, I'm mostly gonna start focus on the white people side, right? Um, yes, it started off as white supremacy, obviously. Uh, However, are we thinking of an entire united white supremacy? I mean, like European descendants mostly, every country in Europe considered as a group of white supremacy. The answer to that is no. Actually, we're not thinking of a united white people. Mostly white people in early America, the superior white people would be the Anglo-Saxons, right? So if you have heritage from, Great Britain, um, England, Scotland, mostly not Irish, you are considered the dominant white people. You're considered superior. And here's a term we're going to use: WASP, right? White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Just remember, race is a social construction. Let me just add this to the mix. North Africans and Middle Easterners, according to the United States Census, are considered white people. I'm just gonna leave it there just to make this more convoluting. Okay, let's quickly talk about Irish people. So, Irish folks, right? Before they even immigrated to America, the Anglo-Saxon would use race science on the Irish, and supposedly, as a result, Irish were considered racially inferior. They were seen less civilized. They were seen ape-like. What I mean? Um, they were just drunks, criminals, ghettos, something like that. So regardless of just looking like the Anglo-Saxons, kind of you're white as the Anglo-Saxons, uh, they just didn't meet the white characteristics, the desired ones, right? So therefore, being white is supposedly a rubric, and the Irish didn't meet them. So it's just this made up rules and etiquette of being white. Therefore, it's a social construction. In 2025, Italy is considered a white country, right, because it's located in Europe. But when the Italian immigrants, mainly Southerners, moved to the United States, most of them were not seen as white, and many of them went through very similar discrimination as the Irish when they moved here. They were just seen as not white. They were seen as criminals, drunks, losers. But the main thing is also faith. Faith is a huge contributing factor to the discrimination because Catholicism in a Protestant dominated nation was seen as undesired as well. Same thing with the perception of Polish, Slavic, or Eastern European in general. Even though many of them has similar traits as the Anglo-Saxons, they still cannot be classified as white, so they never get the white privilege. They just aren't the same level as them. So truly confusing as it seems, and it's mind blowing on the melanin level, how the Irish weren't accepted as being white. But you could just truly see it's confusing. Race is just at this point useless. It's more about ethnicity, I guess, Anglo-Saxons, but they use the term white still to, superiorize themselves and make them on the top of the hierarchy of the American civilization. So there you have it. Race is something that was built by us to get means of something higher. It is an excuse for colonization, mistreatment of other human beings to justify stealing the resources, all sorts. It's a method to make sure a group of people never get to succeed in the land of opportunities, aka America. Do you ever think that somebody is kind of overreacting and getting angry over skin color, right? And then they slowly start realizing, am I just being a little stupid? But then they snap back into their racist demeanor because as human beings, we do not like to be wrong. It's like it bothers us, it irritates us when we are being proved wrong, especially from our own minds. So we like to stay in a fixed mindset and be certain, being certain that yes, I'm correct. And once you're certain, you will make sure nothing changes your mind. Nothing can prove you wrong. This sounds like you're trashing your mind. It starts from a trash mindset. It's basic psychology.